Hello artists, welcome back to the art room. This week we have something special for Valentine's Day. It's coming up this next weekend. And I want to introduce you to an artist who I think you're really going to enjoy. His name is Chris Uphues. And we're going to look at a few pieces of his artwork. He does murals, things that are done on the side of the wall or on the side of a building that are really big. And hearts are quite often his theme. Here's the supplies you need today. You need a piece of paper for your final artwork and a second piece of paper. It can be scrap paper, just so we can practice learning how to draw hearts. You also need your colors. You have the option of using watercolor if you would like to. For this one, I'll be using crayons in the demonstration and they work great too. Go ahead and grab those supplies and we'll get started. Mr. Uphues is an American-based artist. He does a lot, like I said before, with murals. That would be paintings on the side of buildings, paintings on walls. He uses these big pieces of artwork. Here's him standing in front of one of his pieces. And you can see him painting and how big this actually is. I think this one's outdoors. But he also designs things that get used on everyday products. Here's coffee packaging that includes his artwork. I saw for the Nature Valley granola bar, he had done a special ad campaign for them where he did some advertising and created artwork. Also in clothing, sometimes we've seen it in t-shirts, shoes. He also paints on canvases. A lot of times his artwork has this signature heart. These hearts have different faces, different kind of smiles. Sometimes he adds in bumblebees and rainbows and other figures into them. This week we're going to focus mainly on the hearts and create our own piece of artwork in the style of Chris Uphues. Don't worry if you don't know how to draw a heart. I'm going to show you how to do it today. In fact, go ahead and grab that scratch sheet of paper, that half sheet of paper. Let me put my supplies to the side. And let's practice together a heart. So this is just a scratch sheet of paper. Go ahead and grab your black crayon, or if you'd like to start in pencil, you can. I'm going to use a crayon because I think it'll show up better for you. Here's how we draw a heart. Now, if you already know, I want you to practice along with this. Maybe you'll learn a new way to draw a heart that you haven't tried before. But if you don't know, it's very simple, and here's how we're going to start. I would like for you to draw a V on your paper. A V is a diagonal line down and a diagonal line up. It could also be one part of a triangle if you added the top. So we're going to add a V to our paper. And then we're going to add two curved lines that stop in the middle and go to the other side. Look at that. We've made a heart from a V and two curved lines. Now you could do this in reverse. You could start with the curved lines. Kind of looks like maybe the wings on a bird. And then you could connect the bottoms together to form the V. So you could start with the V or you could start with the curved lines. Work along with me. Let's practice a few more. Let's make a big one. I'm going to start with my curved lines and then I'm going to make a V going down. All right, this time I'm going to start with a V and make the curved lines at the top. Either way, I still have a heart. Go ahead and practice a little tiny one and a big one. All right, now that we've practiced a few hearts, I want us to try something called overlapping. If you remember in our splash artwork, we made these splashes and we let them overlap. That meant that one was on top of the other, so we couldn't see everything behind it. Here's what I mean by that. I'm going to make this heart be on top, but I'm going to make another heart look like it's just peeking out from behind it. I'm going to start by adding the top of the heart, and then I'm going to add my lines, but when I get to this heart in front, I'm going to stop. I'm going to go to the other side and do the same. Now it looks like this little heart is behind the big heart. This is overlapping. They're touching each other, and then one is behind the other. Let's do another one. Let's have an overlapping one down here at the bottom. I'm going to start this time with my V. I can just see the bottom of it and then maybe just one side of the heart. This one's overlapping behind. All right, let's do, I'm going to do another one overlapping here, where I can just barely see part of the top. It's overlapping behind here. Keep practicing some of these overlapping, maybe making the one in the back bigger or smaller. What if I put a little tiny one hiding behind this one? There we go. Let's practice one more. Gonna have one here. Sometimes our hearts might even overlap right off the page. What if I had one here and oh, it went off the page. Oh, it went off the page. That's okay in this artwork today too. So go ahead and practice. If you want to stop the video and practice some more, you can. But if you feel like you're ready, let's grab our paper and we'll start on our main piece of artwork. All right, today I'm going to have you use half a sheet of paper again. So maybe you already have a half sheet somewhere that you can use. I'm going to fold my paper side to side and get half a sheet. And I could cut this off so that I only have one half. I'm going to cut it off a little bit later. But since we're going to be drawing a bunch of hearts today, I thought it might be easier to get it all colored in on a half sheet of paper. Let's go ahead and let's compose our artwork. Composing means to arrange it, to decide how it's going to go. So you can choose. You can make yours horizontal, side to side, or you could turn it vertical, up and down. Either way is fine. This one's vertical, up and down. I'll do this one horizontal just to be a little different. All right, I'm going to start by making my biggest heart first. So think about where you want to place your heart. Maybe do a little air drawing to see. I think I'm going to place mine on the side over here. I'm going to start with this 2 curved lines on the top. Remember, you can always start with the V too. I'm going to make my V on the bottom. All right, I have my largest heart. Let's add a few more smaller hearts around it. And then maybe we'll have some overlapping. Ooh, this one's going to run off the page. Remember, that's okay. That's kind of fun. All right, now let's add some hearts that are overlapping. So behind this heart, I'm going to have another heart overlapping. And over here, I want to do the same. I'm going to start with the V this time. And then I'm going to think about how much I'll see. Oop, I'll only see one half of that. And then I think I'll have a small one up here that's also overlapping, just for fun. I kind of like how I have these. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You might have 6. You might fit more hearts on your page, and that's fine too. But try to have at least 6 hearts on your paper. Next, we're going to add these rainbow lines, and I got the inspiration for that from this mural that's hanging in Orlando. I like these rainbow lines. They have about 3 lines of color shooting off from all different sides around their hearts. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to connect them with lines. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then I think I'll connect these 2 with lines. 1, 2, 3. Just going to go around connecting my hearts with these lines. You can choose how many times they connect. I'm going to have this one just go straight through. All right, your composition may look different. That's the fun thing about this. You can do it however you would like. All right, so we have our hearts drawn, we have our lines drawn. What are we missing? Faces. We're missing faces. I have this idea sheet. These are just ideas. You don't need to copy them. They just wanted to get your brain going on some different ways that you could do it. These are some different ideas for eyes. Here's some different ideas for mouths. They could be speaking, whistling a tune, smiling, sticking the tongue out. Some of these ideas came from some of the faces in Mr. Uphues' mural, so you could go back and look at that as well, see what you observed. Let's go ahead and let's start. I like starting with my biggest one because this is kind of the focal point of my artwork. I'm going to add 2 happy eyes here. By the way, if you've been using a pencil this whole time, you're going to want to go back over your pencil lines with your crayon now. You want to make your lines very bold with these black colors. And then we're going to add our faces in as well. So I'm going to add, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to change. I think I'm going to do this first one. It's going to be this winking eye. So I have one eye closed and one eye open with a very happy big eyeball. And then let's see, for a mouth, I'm gonna have just a big smile. And I think I'll have it where you can see a little tongue sticking in the bottom, and then I like to color in the background black just to make it stand out. We can come back and add color to this in a little while. All right, now we're going to add color. There's two ways you can add color. I'm going to show you with crayon, but you could also add water, and I'll show you that in just a moment too. If you're going to use crayon, here's a recommendation. You could outline your shapes with your crayon kind of darkly. I'm pressing down a little more for this part. I'm outlining my shape. And then you could come back. This is just kind of a time saver. And you could color it in more lightly. It totally still gives you that purple effect, but it just saves you a little time because you have a lot to fill in here, right? So again, I just used my dark crayon, or I pressed down hard to make my crayon dark, and I colored the outside of my heart. And then I'll go back on the inside and color it in lightly. Like this. And remember, when you get to the eyes or the mouth, you could come back in with another color. You could color that part in. Be careful though, I kind of hit my black crayon there and I smudged it. So you want to color slowly and carefully, not quickly like Miss Learby was doing. I was rushing. We don't want to rush, we want to take our time. This would be a fun project to give as a gift for Valentine's, or maybe to make some smaller ones. You could get an even smaller sheet of paper and you could decorate it with just a few of these hearts on there. All right, you guys get the idea. I would go ahead and color the rest of this heart in. All right, once you have your hearts all colored in, we can come back and add a little rainbow. I like to leave my very backest background white, like on this one, and just color in my hearts and my rainbows. It kind of reminds me of the mural. It would have usually this more solid background, but that's up to you. If you want to color it all in, you can, but I would come back and I'm going to add color to my rainbow in the background. I like to color these a little more solid and maybe even a little darker, and then mix the colors up. Remember, with these lighter colors, you want to be careful not to hit the black too much because it smudges with them. And we would keep going till we fill it in. All right, if you wanted to use watercolor, if you have watercolor available to you, you totally can. The nice thing about this crayon is that, remember, watercolor won't mess it up. It doesn't like to attach itself to this oily crayon. So you could take your watercolor and fill in these spaces in between, which is kind of cool. The one thing I want you to remember though is you want to stay inside your lines. And the reason is that you don't want your colors to blend together too much. I'm going to keep it inside the line like this so that I don't accidentally get some orange in my yellow. So I stayed on this side of that black line. Here's what we could do with our hearts if you wanted to use watercolor on them. You could do the same thing where you add this darker color on the outside. And then you could just take water to fill in the rest. Everywhere the water goes, the color is going to spread around to it. It kind of gives you this variation where you have some dark green and some lighter green. That is it. That is your Chris Uphues inspired artwork for today. I hope you have fun with it. I bet it looks so cool what you're working on. Whether you use crayon or watercolor, you get a beautiful effect. I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day, and if you have time, you can send me a picture of your artwork. I'll see you next week.